Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Last game of the NFL season, obviously the Super Bowl, Chiefs 49ers, trying to move to 11-2 against the spread in the playoffs. Sitting at 10-2 right now. Postseason has been very kind to me. Hopefully that continues for one more game. Just want to thank everyone for the support this season. Everyone who subscribes to this channel, everyone who's got that notification bell clicked for me, that continue to support. We couldn't have grown to where we are without you guys. We just hit 75,000 subscribers. Can't thank you enough, truly. So hopefully I got one more NFL win for you this year. Let's get it started.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, let's go. So we got this line sitting at 2. It's pretty much been hovering around 2 for 2 weeks. I mean, if you look, you could probably find a 1.5. Might be able to find a juice 2.5 out there. But for the most part, the consensus line is 2 here. Data is showing public coming in all over the Chiefs, but we know to take this data with a grain of salt. This is the Super Bowl. I mean, this is going to be the sharpest point spread of the year. Every single football mind out there has action on this game, influence in the market. So there's no public side. There's no sharp side here. As far as the total, data showing sharp action coming in on the under. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Total's been basically sitting at 47.5 this whole time. I haven't really seen it move at all. So total's at 47.5. Injuries, and we'll start with the 49ers offense. George Kittle is listed as questionable, but he participated in a full practice, so I'm almost positive he's going to play. I don't think there's any danger of him missing this game. On the defensive side of the ball, we do have a couple key pieces here listed as questionable, Hargrave and Burks, but just like Kittle, both these guys have been practicing, so I don't think there's any danger of either of these guys missing the Super Bowl. On the Kansas City offense, we do have a piece missing here. Joe Tooney, left guard, ruled out. Well, I'm pretty sure he's ruled out. He hasn't practiced. The Chiefs injury report still has him listed as questionable, but ESPN.com updated it yesterday and said he's out. So I'm assuming he's out. I put an out graphic on him here. So I think Joe Tooney's going to miss this one. On the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs, Nadi is still out. He got hurt in the Miami game, so he hasn't played in the Bills game or the Ravens game. He's going to miss the Super Bowl. Other than that, Chiefs defense good to go. So let's match these two teams up on the field, and we'll start with Brock Purdy, 49ers passing offense. As we know, the talking point for Brock Purdy is his numbers in the postseason in comparison to the regular season. He's played 5 playoff games in his career, and his numbers aren't terrible in the playoffs. 63% completions, over 8 yards per attempt, 3.8 touchdown percentage, 0.8 interception percentage, a 98 passer rating. He's got solid looking numbers in the postseason, but in comparison to his career regular season numbers, they're significantly worse. And I think what makes it even worse than that is he started his playoff career hot. I mean, he started off with an excellent game against Seattle in his first career playoff game. He had 332 yards, over 11 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a 131 passer rating in his first playoff game against the Seahawks. And since then, in the other playoff games since that one, it's definitely been a little bit downhill. As we know, Brock Purdy has been excellent handling pressure this year. On the season, when pressured, 2nd in completion percentage, 3rd in yards per attempt, 5th in passer rating, 16th in big time throw rate, 32nd in turnover worthy play rate. So that one's not great. But look at his numbers under pressure in the playoffs. I mean, everything's down. Actually, the big time throw rate is up, so he's making big plays at a higher rate under pressure. But as a whole, all that success he was having under pressure in the regular season hasn't quite been there in the playoffs. And that's definitely a huge factor here, because as we know, the pass rush has been the backbone of the Chiefs defense for 4 or 5 years now. On the season, they're 7th in pressure rate, 1st in adjusted sack rate. And to take it a step further, we need to look at Brock Purdy's numbers when blitz, because as we know, Spagnuolo's sending blitz packages at Brock Purdy. I mean, the Chiefs have the 5th highest blitz rate in the NFL this year. So how has Brock Purdy handled the blitz? And kind of the same story here. In the regular season, elite. Purdy when blitzed, 1st in yards per attempt, 5th in completion percentage, 3rd in passer grade, 3rd in big time throw rate, 1st in passer rating. So maybe the best quarterback in the NFL when blitzed in the regular season, but look at all those metrics in the playoffs when blitzed. Everything's lower here. Everything is down. Now, one positive angle we can point at for Brock Purdy is he's been excellent against man coverage this season. Chiefs are top 10 in man coverage frequency according to Pro Football Focus. So if you look at these numbers here, against man coverage, Brock Purdy's got a 129.5 passer rating, over 10 yards per attempt, His numbers versus zone coverage are pretty good too, but not nearly as good as his numbers against man coverage. Purdy's main target against man coverage has been Ayuk. Those two guys together have cooked man coverages throughout the season, but the Chiefs might have the perfect answer to their Brandon Ayuk problem, and his name is L'Jarius Sneed. He's been following wide receiver ones around all season, and the Chiefs defense are 5th in DVOA against wide receiver ones. Yes, Zay Flowers did have a good game against Kansas City last week, but he's not really a traditional wide receiver one. In the past this year, we saw him hold Stephon Diggs down twice. Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams. I mean, Chiefs have been excellent against wide receiver ones all season. We've seen them double these wide receivers on third downs. So I'm not really worried about Ayuk for Kansas City, but Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, it's going to come down to whether or not they can get off the line of scrimmage. Chiefs run a lot of press coverage, and throwing Brock Purdy off his timing is going to be huge. That's tough to say. Keep in mind, this is a Kansas City pass defense that on the season is 5th in DVOA, 2nd in yards per pass attempt, and 1st in adjusted sack rate. So on paper, this is not a great matchup for Brock Purdy at all. But now let's take a look at the matchup for the 49ers run game. And if you're betting San Francisco, this is the moment you've been waiting for. 49ers run game has been on a heater in their last 8 games, including the playoffs. 150.4 rushing yards per game, 5.4 yards per carry. San Francisco on the season is 1st in yards per carry on zone run concepts. Chiefs defense against zone run concepts, 31st. Remember, this is a Kansas City defense that's been getting cooked on the ground all year. Chiefs run defense on the season, 27th in DVOA, 25th in adjusted line yards, 25th in yards per carry allowed. So as scary as a matchup as this is for Brock Purdy, it's almost a literal perfect matchup for the 49ers run game and Christian McCaffrey. Remember, 2 weeks ago in the AFC Championship game, Baltimore only handed the ball off to running backs 6 times the entire game. The number 1 rushing attack in the NFL against a bad Chiefs run defense, and the Ravens decided to drop Lamar Jackson back to pass for 37 attempts compared to just 6 handoffs to running backs. So you know Kyle Shanahan is not going to make that same mistake, and he's going to be sure to get the ball in the hands of Christian McCaffrey. Situational stats on this side of the ball, I mean, I guess a slight edge to the 49ers, but both of these units have been pretty elite on key downs. Overall, I like the matchup for San Francisco's offense. In theory, they should be able to do whatever they want on the ground. I'm a little worried about how predictable the game plan is, though. Remember, this dude Spagnuolo is a god. We've seen it multiple years where the Chiefs defense is mediocre at best all season, and then in the playoffs, Spagnuolo just outcoaches his opponent every single time. Those blitzes always seem to get home. Remember, the Chiefs saw Miami in the wild card round, another dangerous rushing attack that on paper should have ran all over the Chiefs defense. Spags shut it down. So on paper, San Francisco should run the ball all over the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be so quick to count Steve Spagnuolo out. Now let's flip it over to the other side of the ball. We'll talk about the matchup for Patrick Mahomes. You got the 49ers pass defense. Obviously a brutal task. You got Mahomes in the Super Bowl here. Thankfully for San Francisco, they've been tested by 2 great quarterbacks in the playoff run here. In the second half of the season, Jared Goff and Jordan Love, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. San Francisco held those 2, 6.2 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, and just an 80.6 passer rating. This is a 49ers pass defense that's been elite all season. 4th in DVOA, 5th in opponent passer rating, 5th in yards per pass attempt allowed. And their pass rush got off to a slow start, but they finished the season with top 10 numbers rushing the quarterback. 6th in pressure rate, 6th in hurry rate, 9th in hit rate. The pass rush is huge for 49ers here because that's been the weakness for Mahomes this year, kind of uncharacteristically. In past years, he's been very good under pressure. Not the case this year. Mahomes under pressure this year, 18th in yards per attempt, 22nd in completion percentage, 17th in turnover-worthy play, 32nd in passer rating, 40th in interceptions. And if you look at his numbers under pressure in the playoffs, kind of the same thing. He's still struggling. I mean, he hasn't thrown the interceptions. The turnover-worthy play rate is down, but these numbers are not good. Mahomes is still struggling with pressure. In the regular season, Mahomes had a terrible turnover-worthy play rate under pressure. In the playoffs, it's 0. Not 1 turnover-worthy play, not 1 interception. Now, does that mean Mahomes is due to throw an interception? Or does that mean Mahomes has just been smarter in the playoffs? I mean, I guess that's impossible to say. If we take a look at the EPA numbers for the Chiefs passing offense, in the regular season, it was a minus 0.02, 11th in the NFL. In the playoffs, they're up to a 0.07, which would have put them in the top 3 in the regular season. So the Chiefs passing offense has been better in the playoffs as a whole, pretty significantly better, actually. The reason I bring that up, look at the 49ers defensive numbers. They're almost doing the exact opposite in the playoffs. So the Chiefs passing offense has been better in the playoffs. 49ers defense has been worse in the playoffs. But before we go penciling Mahomes in for 400 passing yards in this game, we need to point out that Joe Thuney is out, left guard. And replacement, Nick Allegretti is his name. He wasn't good against the Ravens. He gave up 4 pressures and a sack, and he was really struggling in run blocking as well. Remember, this is a 49ers defensive front that's got Eric Armstead and Jason Hargrave at D tackle. So lining up against Allegretti, that's a huge positive. And speaking of the matchup on the interior offensive line, let's talk about the 49ers run defense. As we know, this has been the most disappointing unit for San Francisco on the season, just 15th in DVOA, 10th in adjusted line yards, 21st in yards per carry allowed. The reason that's particularly disappointing is last year they were arguably the best run defense in the NFL, so definitely a huge step backwards for the 49ers run defense. In the regular season, San Francisco was just 27th in defensive rushing success rate, 58.8%. In the playoffs, it's got even worse, down to 49.1%. So it got worse in the playoffs. Look at the numbers. San Francisco has allowed 318 rushing yards on 5.58 yards per carry in the playoffs so far. But here's the thing, when we flip it around and look at the other side, I'm not sure how much I trust the Chiefs run game here. So in the playoffs as a whole, they got good rushing numbers, 127 yards per game, 4.2 yards per carry. But Joe Thuney missed the AFC Championship game against Baltimore, and the Chiefs couldn't do anything on the ground. 32 carries for just 89 yards. And this Baltimore defense is kind of similar to San Francisco's in a sense that they're elite against the pass. They've been vulnerable. The Ravens have been vulnerable to the run second half of the season. So this isn't some elite run defense in Baltimore. So despite the 49ers defense struggling to stop the run recently, I actually don't think we can count on the Chiefs running the ball here. Situational stats on this side of the ball, edge definitely goes to the Chiefs offense on third down, 6 to 27th. In the red zone, not so much though, pretty much even, slight edge to San Francisco. Before we get to the game picks, I got 2 underdog pick'ems. This one comes in from Prop Beaver. He emailed it to me, so I'm actually looking at it for the first time. Travis Kelce higher than 74.5 receiving yards. Brandon Ayuk lower than 59.5 receiving yards. All right, so I guess he played that wide receiver 1 stat with the Chiefs. Pacheco higher than 1.5 10 plus yard. Such a prop beaver leg. Pacheco higher than 1.5 10 plus yard rushes, and Deebo Samuel higher than 16.5 rush yards. So that's a 4 pick. It pays out 20 times if it hits. Now for my underdog pick'em, Patrick Mahomes higher than 261.5 pass yards. Christian McCaffrey higher than 92.5 rush yards. Isaiah Pacheco lower than 69.5 yards. If you don't have an Underdog fantasy account, it's available to any state highlighted in this map. So if you're in one of the states highlighted in yellow, head over to the website or you can download the app Underdog Fantasy. When you make your account, make sure you use the promo code BET, B-E-T. That'll get you a $100 deposit bonus match. So if you deposit $100, they will give you a free $100 to play with. As far as when I'm betting in this game, I think overall the handicap points to Kansas City. So if you want to follow the numbers, I would take the Chiefs as underdogs here. Personally, I am going to bet San Francisco on the money line. Let's see what price I can get on the money line right now. I haven't even bet it yet. So it looks like there's a minus 124 on FanDuel. Oh, minus 120 on DraftKings. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers money line at minus 120. Kind of just a personal preference. I mean, the Super Bowl is pretty terrible as far as betting value. I mean, all these lines have been bet down to the nub as far as value. There's nothing left. I mean, it's a standalone game isolated by 2 weeks. It's a pretty awful game to bet. Obviously, it's a ton of fun. Super Bowl for me is more about having some fun, gambling. My brother has a big party. So I'm going to bet the 49ers kind of because I'll have more fun rooting against Patrick Mahomes. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I'm going to do. I think the handicap points to the Chiefs, though. If you're subscribing just to see the numbers, I would go there. But I'm going to bet the 49ers money line. I'm going to take the under at 47.5. I'm trusting both defenses to show up here. So 49ers money line and the under. I'm going to place a big same game parlay when I get to my brother's house. It'll be something crazy, some touchdown score, some kind of home run swing with crazy odds. I'm going to post that on my Instagram story. I'll put it in the Discord too. So if you're in the Discord, you'll get it sent to you. But if you're not in the Discord, I'm going to put it on my Instagram story. So if you're interested in that, just go follow me on Instagram and I'll post it up. I'll probably get over there around 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock Eastern time, I'll post that up on Instagram. Thanks to everyone for a great season. Got a ton of new subscribers, a ton of views. We made money. We had a positive season. And I don't think people realize how 97.9% of sports bettors will finish in the red at the end of the year. So even if you break even, that's a good season. And we made some money. I think I'm up like 7 or 8 units on the NFL season. So it's a great year. So in conclusion of the season, I polled the public, some close family and friends. Let's see what they think.
I'm all about those Chiefs. Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. It's the Taylor Swift Bowl. Let's go Chiefs.
What I've learned in the past 5 years as a Bills fan, you never bet against Mahomes. I'm taking Chiefs money line.
If you're betting the Chiefs here, I got to ask you, what are you doing? The 49ers are free money, absolutely free. It's crazy.
Niners.
Man, give me Chiefs money line. Also go Pistons.
Wow. Chiefs versus 49ers. Two great teams in one great game in one great nation. I personally will guarantee a 49ers win.
I don't want to do it, but Super Square bet, Chiefs money line. Taylor proposes to Travis on the 50-yard line after the game.
It's times like these that are special to us all. Let us cherish the moment. Kansas City for the win.
I've had Niners to win 10-1 since August, so I got to go San Fran 27-24 CMC MVP.
Super Bowl on Sunday, you know I'm all in on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I cannot wait to see Brock Purdy walking off the field with his head down. Let's go Chiefs.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes is a true patriot. I know him personally. Definitely a true patriot. There is zero doubt the Chiefs will win this game.
Let the world bet the Chiefs. 49ers all day, baby.